When I transmigrated into this book, the story was already near its end. Sam and I had just stepped into the wedding hall under everyone's blessings. But after answering a single phone call, the color drained from Sam's face. He shoved me away and rushed out of the church. If I calculate the timing, the female lead should have just attempted suicide and is now being rescued in the hospital. Chapter 1. I had become the vicious supporting character in a real versus fake heiress novel. I am the real heiress. The female lead, Diana, is the fake. After the truth was revealed, I was brought back to the wealthy family, while Diana was cast out onto the streets. Everything that once belonged to her, the gentle and loving parents, the handsome and wealthy fiancé, the family fortune, all fell into my hands, and Diana, in her downfall, went from phoenix to sparrow. The adoptive parents who had raised her for 18 years no longer wanted her. The older brother who once spoiled her most cursed her as a thief who stole another's life. Even her childhood sweetheart fiancé decisively broke off the engagement. Diana desperately tried to prove that she was not some greedy gold digger. She never wanted to compete with me. She only wanted affection. But when she worked hard in the family company, Father thought she was fighting me for the inheritance and ruthlessly fired her. When she gave me gifts to ease our relationship, her brother thought she meant to harm me and slapped her. When she generously offered blessings at my wedding with Sam, outsiders labeled her the mistress, and she was torn apart by online abuse. Finally, on the very day of my grand wedding with Sam, under the gaze of countless eyes, a desperate Diana chose suicide. And yet, her death attempt became the moment everyone woke up. Our parents remembered those 18 years they had raised her with their own hands. Luis, her brother, thought back to the soft little girl who once followed him everywhere. Sam, her ex-fiancé, recalled the way she clumsily yet sincerely tried to make him smile. Regret overwhelmed them. At that very moment, Diana's diary, written after her abandonment, was discovered. Page after page filled with her longing for the Yi family, her secret love for Sam, her apologies and blessings to me. In her diary, she apologized to everyone, repeating again and again that she never wanted to fight for wealth. She only longed for a shred of family love. Thus, everyone's guilt deepened. They swore to give everything to make it up to her. After she was discharged, Diana was brought back home. Her parents did everything to compensate her. Sam finally realized his true feelings. After a long, bitter chase, he and Diana ended up together. And as for me, the vicious supporting role, because of my endless jealousy and persecution of Diana, I was despised by all. Driven to madness, I tried to run Diana over with my car, but harming others only leads to one's own ruin. Diana miraculously survived without a scratch, while I died in the car crash myself. Chapter 2. When I transmigrated into this book, the story had already reached the stage of my wedding with Sam. At the moment the officiant asked, "Do you take him to be your husband? Whether in wealth or in poverty, in health or in sickness, will you stay by his side forever?" I decisively shook my head and said, "I do not." The entire audience was stunned. Sam leaned closer, lowering his voice in my ear. "What's wrong with you? Everyone is watching." I glanced meaningfully at his pocket. His phone had been vibrating non-stop since the ceremony began. "You've got a call," I reminded him kindly. Sam pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and frowned. He recognized the number. Instinctively, he moved to hang up. But I was faster. "Don't hang up. If you do, you'll regret it." In the original plot, Diana regretted slitting her wrists and instinctively pressed speed dial Sam's number, begging him to save her. But Sam, caught up in the wedding, ignored those desperate calls. Diana almost missed her best chance for rescue. Later, in his tragic chasing the wife arc, those 10+ unanswered calls became a cruel thorn between them. But this time, I wouldn't let them have that back-and-forth drama. After all, saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda, isn't it? Sam, seeing how insistent I was, though confused, pressed answer. The next second, all color drained from his face. Then he shoved me aside and ran out of the church. The hall erupted into chaos. Shocked, puzzled, and mocking gazes all turned toward me. My parents and my brother Luis rushed to my side, worry and anger written on their faces. Before they could speak, I said first, "Dad, Mom." I think Sam just got a call from Diana. I vaguely heard her saying she slit her wrists, that she wanted Sam to save her. Mother's face went pale. After all, she had raised Diana for over 20 years. Those feelings couldn't just vanish overnight. Her body swayed, almost unsteady. An anxious word spilled out. Diana attempted suicide? When? Where is she? Has she been taken to the hospital? Even father, usually so composed, clenched his fists tightly. I forced a pale smile. I don't know. I couldn't hear clearly on the call. No, we must check immediately. I need to see that child, Mother started. Then suddenly stopped. Her eyes flicked to me. Nervous. Guilty. She suddenly realized her other daughter had just been abandoned at her own wedding, under countless judgmental stares. Because of Diana's suicide. I steadied myself, putting on a brave front. It's fine. Go see her. I'll take care of things here. Right now Diana might be in surgery, fighting for her life. If something truly happens, you don't need to worry about me. I understand. After all, you've been with her for over 20 years. That kind of bond doesn't disappear overnight. In the original story, after Sam left, I threw a fit, crying, screaming, and even demanding that my parents not go to Diana. That farce only made me a laughingstock, and deepened their guilt toward her. From then on, they could never forget that. At Diana's most fragile, desperate moment, they had not been by her side. But this time, I chose the opposite path. I urged them to go. As they left, they kept turning back, faces heavy with worry and guilt. Brother, you should go too, I said, still forcing that pale, brittle smile. But Luis only shook his head. She already has enough people with her. I'll stay with you. Chapter 3. In the original story, Diana missed her best chance for treatment due to excessive blood loss and was left hovering between life and death. But this time, the moment she dialed Sam's number, he rushed over immediately and brought her to the hospital. As a result, Diana only suffered minor injuries. After a simple bandage and a few instructions, the doctor announced she could be discharged. When our parents arrived, what they saw was not a pale, dying girl, but Diana leaning close to Sam, chatting as if nothing had happened. They had expected to see her weak and near death. Instead, she stood there with nothing more than a few bandages on her wrist. And when they recalled how, because of her, I had been abandoned at the wedding altar, forced to endure whispers and stares, yet still had to put on a brave face and comfort them, their anger flared instantly. Dad. Mom. Diana's eyes lit up at first, but then she hesitated. She lowered her head and said softly, pitifully, Uncle, Auntie, HM. After all, they had raised her for over 20 years. The bond wasn't so easy to erase. My mother still asked, nothing serious, right? What did the doctor say? Diana shifted awkwardly, hiding her hands behind her back. Her voice trembled. It's nothing, just a scratch. I'm sorry to have worried you. Good. As long as you know. Father snapped. You're an adult. Yet you still act so recklessly. Diana's eyes reddened instantly. Once upon a time, her parents had never said a harsh word to her. And now, was everything erased just because there was no blood relation? She forced down her tears, lowering her head. I'm sorry, really. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to trouble you. I swear I didn't. Before she could finish, Father cut her off coldly. You didn't mean to? Of course you did. Out of all days, why choose today to attempt suicide? Why, of all times, during Nicole and Sam's wedding? And out of all people in your contacts, why call the groom? Even if you had no friends, couldn't you call 911? Diana stared at him in shock. The man she respected most in this world now looked at her as if she had done it on purpose. Did he really think she had tried to sabotage my wedding? But she hadn't. She had only been panicked, desperate, and dialed Sam's number without thinking. She never wanted to take anything from me, so why were they always misunderstanding her? Was she so low in their eyes, simply because she wasn't blood-related? Her heart clenched. She wanted to cry, to be coddled, but she knew that would only push them further away. So she swallowed back her tears, bowed deeply, and whispered, I'm sorry, I was childish, thoughtless, but I swear, I never wanted to cause Nicole any trouble. Please, please tell her that for me. She drew in a deep breath, then forced out her final words. I'll leave. I won't appear before you again. Won't cause you any more trouble. Uncle, Auntie, thank you for raising me these past years. I'm sorry for all the harm I've caused. Please forgive me, and I wish you and Nicole a happy future. When she finished, tears streamed down her face. Before anyone could react, she pushed Sam aside and ran out of the hospital. This child, Mother looked after her retreating figure, her face filled with pain. Even Father, always stern, fell silent, retreating to a corner to light a cigarette. Chapter 4. When we returned home, both of my parents looked rather low-spirited. I had already expected this. After asking briefly about Diana's condition, I sighed softly. Dad, Mom, why don't we just let Diana come back home? After all, it's just one more pair of chopsticks at the table. Both of them looked at me in surprise. Father was the first to shake his head. No, she's already moved out. There's no reason for her to come back. Nicole, don't let your thoughts run wild. Since you're back, you're our only daughter. We made a mistake before, but now that things are clear, there's no reason to let her return. I sighed again. Dad, Mom, I know you're worried about me, afraid I'll overthink things, but I really don't mind if Diana comes back. When she was switched at birth, she was still just a baby, as much a victim as I was. How could I blame her? And after all, you lived with her for over 20 years. Those feelings can't just vanish overnight. I understand your difficulties. I know you've been deliberately distant with her, out of concern for me, but you must feel uneasy too. I don't want you to feel guilty, so let Diana come home. Nicole, you really don't mind Diana coming back? Mother looked at me in disbelief. Really, I couldn't mean it more sincerely. I smiled, gentle and understanding to the extreme. After all, blocking is worse than guiding. Instead of letting my parents constantly suppress their affection and guilt toward Diana, why not bring it all out into the open? And since Diana always says she has no intention of fighting and only craves love, this time, I'll give her the love she so desperately wants. Let's see if she's really as pure and kind as she pretends to be. Chapter 5. For more than 20 years, Diana had been the family's little princess, cherished and carefree. But this time, as she returned home, she acted timid and cautious, not daring even to look up. Dragging along a shabby suitcase, she stood at the doorway, eyes flicking nervously to my face, as if without my permission, she dared not step inside. I caught the faint flicker of pity in my parents' eyes, but with me standing there, they held back from showing it. TSK. Why did it suddenly feel like I was the villain breaking apart their little happy family? This role of the bad guy was quite entertaining. I curved my lips into a smile, tilted my head, and said to Diana, "Come in, don't just stand there. Treat this as your own home, no need to be so restrained." Diana obeyed and stepped inside, but her head remained lowered. The atmosphere turned awkward, so Mother quickly spoke. "Diana, I've had your new room prepared. It's the one upstairs at the corner. Go take a look. And if anything's missing, just let us know." Diana looked stunned, even flustered. Then she shook her head hurriedly. No, Auntie. I can just stay in the maid's room. I don't need such a good room." I frowned. Was self-inflicted suffering a standard skill for every tragic heroine? This mansion has dozens of empty rooms. One more or one less makes no difference. Living in the maid's room, what purpose does that serve, other than making herself miserable and making everyone else feel sorry for her? Perhaps that's exactly the point, to stir pity. Watching her bow her head pitifully, murmuring it doesn't matter. I can live anywhere. I grew impatient. I grabbed her suitcase myself and carried it upstairs. I said, "Treat this as your own home. No need to restrain yourself." I added flatly, "Whatever food or things you want, just say it. There's no need to wrong yourself. We have enough money, you don't have to play the martyr." Diana blinked at me, dazed, before lowering her head again and murmuring softly, "Okay, thank you, miss." Then she tiptoed into her new room, as meek as a quail. Watching her act like this, as though someone had bullied her, made my head ache. Sensing my coolness, Mother asked tentatively. Nicole, are you unhappy? If you don't want her here, I'll have her move out again. I smiled and shook my head. Mom, don't say that. Diana just came back. If you make her leave again, she'll be crushed. I'm not unhappy. Don't worry about me. That's good. Mother took my hand, her voice heavy with emotion. I do still care about Diana, but no matter what, you're our true daughter. I will always stand by you. If she ever makes you unhappy, just say the word, I'll make her leave immediately. You must never wrong yourself for anyone. Nicole, you've always been too considerate, hiding everything in your heart. It hurts me to see it. Looking into her eyes, filled with genuine affection, my heart warmed, and for the first time since I entered this story, I smiled with sincerity. Got it, Mom. I won't wrong myself, and you shouldn't always hold back for my sake either. Don't worry, I understand. Chapter 6. To be fair, I didn't really hold that much resentment toward Diana. In the original novel, she was portrayed as pure, kind, deeply affectionate, and naive. She never fought, never snatched, just a spotless white lotus blooming in the mud. After discovering her true identity, she had resolutely chosen to leave. From beginning to end, she never once deliberately targeted the evil supporting role. Nicole. It was Nicole who had always held grudges, who struck again and again, and thus brought about her own miserable downfall. As for Diana, everything that originally belonged to Nicole eventually fell into her lap, so naturally that no one seemed to question it. The love of the parents? Well, after all, they had raised her for more than 20 years. The doting affection of her brother Luis? Well, after all, she was the little sister he had watched grow up. The love of Sam, the fiancé? Well, the engagement might have been with Nicole, but unfortunately, he fell in love with Diana first. In short, Diana was so pure and kind that everyone couldn't help but love her. Nicole, on the other hand, was venomous and selfish, and so everyone abandoned her in the end, as if no one else had ever done wrong. No blind onlookers, no cold-hearted parents, no conveniently placed plot armor. It all seemed like Nicole's own fault. Her poison, her selfishness. But who made her that way? If she hadn't been switched at birth into a poor family, if she hadn't suffered domestic violence since childhood, if she hadn't grown up in a harsh environment, with no proper education, would she still have become this evil woman? She could have been just like Diana once was, innocent, carefree, believing that love alone could conquer all. I wasn't noble enough to seek justice for Nicole. I was just curious, if you throw that pure white lotus Diana into real filth, can she still remain untouched? Since you said it yourself, you only want affection. You only want to be loved. Then fine, I'll give you all the love you want. But as for the wealth, the inheritance, the social status, the glory that should belong to Nicole, you won't get even a sliver. I sincerely hope, Diana, that you can remain exactly as you claim to be, pure at heart, never tainted by the stench of money. Chapter 7. Let's cancel the engagement. In the cafe, I sat calmly across from Sam, his handsome brows furrowed, his Adam's apple bobbing. I can explain what happened at the wedding. No need. It's unrelated, I said evenly. I just think we're not suitable. Sam gave a cold laugh. Do you have to make a scene? I'm not making a scene. My tone was indifferent. Be straightforward. Can't we part with a little dignity? He narrowed his eyes, studying me. I stared back, unflinching. In the end, he was the one who relented. Fine. Running out in the middle of the ceremony was my mistake. I'll apologize, but our marriage affects both families' business ties. You should at least discuss this with your parents, instead of acting so rashly. I sneered lightly. If you're trying to pressure me with my parents, you're wasting your time. We've already discussed it. They fully support me canceling this engagement. And as for our business cooperation, we'll be reassessing. You know very well this marriage was just a business alliance, a transaction. And in business, the most important thing is credibility. What kind of credibility do you have, Mr. Sam, when you abandon your partner in the middle of a deal? I met his gaze sharply, leaving him no room to retreat. The veins on his forehead stood out, But he swallowed his temper and countered, "Hasn't anyone ever told you that women with such fiery tempers end up unwanted? Hasn't anyone ever told you that men who patronize women are the ones nobody wants?" I wasn't interested in bickering with a mediocre, self-important CEO wannabe, but I did ask the one question that had been nagging at me. "If you could abandon me at our wedding to run to Diana, doesn't that mean you like her? Why not just be with her openly?" According to the original plot, after Diana's suicide attempt, Sam should have realized his feelings and decisively broken off the engagement, starting his so-called tragic pursuit. But this time? Forget flames, there wasn't even a spark between them. Maybe the butterfly effect, because I forced him to answer Diana's call earlier. He never realized he loved her. Sam's expression stiffened. "Diana and I are like siblings. She's too immature. What I need is a partner in business, not a child to babysit. Besides, she's no longer the heiress of the Yi family. My family would never allow me to marry a woman who brings no benefit." TSK. That was the first time I'd seen someone leech off others with such self-righteousness. It made me question how much of that so-called epic romance in the novel had ever been real. If Sam truly loved Diana, why had he so easily cut ties the moment her identity was exposed? Why did he stand by when she was cast out, miserable and destitute? Even if you're blind to love, when you see a starving dog, at least you throw it some food. Yes, maybe he felt something when he heard she tried to kill herself, but that fleeting emotion was nothing compared to the weight of profit. So what if his later grand gestures of pursuit were nothing but acts, staged because he saw his parents' lingering affection for Diana? He never cared who the daughter of the rich family was. He just wanted the heiress. The disgust churned in my stomach. I no longer bothered with niceties. "Mr. Sam, I'm not here to negotiate with you. I'm informing you, whether you agree or not, this engagement will be annulled." Dragging it out any longer would only be pathetic. Leaving him with those words, I ignored his darkened face and rose to go. Honestly, I couldn't fathom how Diana ever fell for such a petty man, enough to love him till death. Pathetic. Truly pathetic. Love games were worthless. Making money was far more important. As soon as I stepped out of the cafe, I called my brother Luis. "Hey, brother? Yes. It's done. Don't worry. Have the company formalities all been handled?" "Good, thank you, Luis." Hearing that everything was ready, I finally let out a satisfied smile. Chapter 8. In the original story, Nicole was ignorant and arrogant. She used her status as the real heiress to parachute straight into the company as a department manager. But she knew nothing about the business, barked orders at everyone, and quickly stirred up resentment among employees. In the end, she ruined a critical project, pushing several shareholders to protest at the board meeting. They accused my father of nepotism and demanded that this poisonous tumor, Nicole, be removed. Under pressure, my father had no choice but to fire her. Yet Nicole still wouldn't let it go. She rolled on the ground like a spoiled child, throwing baseless accusations at Diana, who wasn't even in the same department, forcing her father to fire Diana as well. To be fair, Diana's competence wasn't stellar either. She was a pampered princess raised with a silver spoon. At best, her performance was mediocre, but compared to Nicole, who had zero ability, endless arrogance, and a love for stirring trouble, Diana at least came across as honest, diligent, and drama-free. And so, with Nicole as the perfect negative contrast, Diana looked like a shining star. Behind the scenes, people whispered, "See? Proper education makes all the difference. Diana is elegance. Nicole is a vulgar upstart. Nicole is just a nouveau riche brat. Diana is the real princess. A hen is still a hen, even if you stick phoenix feathers on it." When those words reached Nicole's ears, she only grew more unhinged, targeting Diana with even more ferocity. But me? I had zero interest in such pathetic catfights. Before I transmigrated, I worked for a major internet company. After years of brutal 007 grind culture, working from midnight to 7 o'clock practically every day, I finally clawed my way up to a promotion, only to end up inside this novel. As a certified queen of the grind, I couldn't care less about cliché toxic romance or jealous women tearing at each other's throats. Now that I was here, I had only 3 goals. Make money, and for God's sake, make money. In the original plot, Luis was obsessed with art and had no interest in business. Father had originally intended to groom Nicole as his successor, but she destroyed herself with her own stupidity. Naturally, the company fell into Diana's hands, but Diana knew nothing about management or operations. Eventually, the Yi Group became nothing more than a subsidiary of the Sam family's company. And Diana? She happily settled into the role of Sam's pampered little wife. When I first read that part, I couldn't help but sigh. A corporation worth tens of billions, one of the top enterprises in City A, just handed over to Sam because of some girl's brain full of romance? Love brain has to be the most expensive disease on the planet. Sometimes I wondered, was Sam's deep, undying love during his so-called tragic pursuit really just love? Or did he simply realize Diana's love blindness made her the perfect cash cow? Either way, he'll never get that chance again. Every cent of this company will belong to me. As for those two lovebirds, let them live off their true love and see how filling it is. Chapter 9. Unlike in the original story, I didn't parachute straight into a managerial role. Instead, I started from the bottom, step by step. Of course, I never pretended to hide my status as the real heiress either. Background is the trump card that makes others wary of underestimating you. But personal ability, that's the only thing that earns genuine respect. Both are indispensable. Before transmigrating, I had been a nobody with no power, no influence, only my skills to fight my way up. Now, as the true daughter of the Yi family, and with father subtly grooming me as the next heir, my career in the company was unstoppable. I moved forward like a sharp blade through water, effortless and unstoppable. Everyone showed me genuine respect, bowing low, flattering where they once sneered. And as for Diana, things didn't look nearly as pretty. Her abilities were never remarkable, and next to me, her flaws were magnified. Fake will always be fake. The difference is in the bloodline. Didn't Diana receive more than 10 years of elite education? Then why is she so clueless? The imposter will never measure up to the real one. Mud can't be shaped into a pillar. How does she even have the face to stay here? Is she trying to fight Nicole for power? The very same gossip that once crushed Nicole was now being thrown at Diana. Many, eager to please me, went out of their way to badmouth her right in front of me, but I remained expressionless. Everyone has their role and their strengths. Diana takes her work seriously and hasn't made mistakes. Don't bring your cliques into the office. To be fair, Diana did her job with sincerity, but her job was, let's be honest, glorified errands, printing documents, ordering takeout, delivering materials. She was the go-to for menial tasks, a jack of no trades, with no specialized skills. There was nothing else she could do. And now, without her foster family's support, she had no background either. Father never intended to let her join the company at all. She got in only by applying on her own. When he found out, he erupted in fury at home. Our family wealth will all belong to Nicole. None of it has anything to do with you. Diana immediately burst into tears. She looked at father in disbelief. Dad, is that really how you see me? You think I came here to fight Nicole for power? I didn't. I never once thought that. I just didn't want to sit at home eating for free. I wanted to atone somehow, to do something, anything, for you all. Honestly, I couldn't understand her logic. If her so-called atonement was working a 4,000 yuan a month job anyone could do, then what a cheap redemption it was. And besides, that salary didn't exactly go to the family. She kept it for herself. So in her mind, working an ordinary job equaled redemption? Then aren't all the world's office workers out here atoning for their sins to their bosses every day? I had always kept a live-in let-live attitude toward her, but even I frowned at that. No one said you have sins to atone for. You don't need to indulge in this self-consoling drama. Instead of doing a job that anyone else could do, why not stay home with mom? Luis and I are both busy with work, and she must get lonely at home. If you kept her company and cared for her, we'd appreciate that far more. I thought my words were reasonable, heartfelt even, but Diana looked at me as if I had just humiliated her. Her face twisted in pain. So you think I came here to compete with you too, don't you? I'll say it again, I'm not. I don't care about the company's wealth. All I want is for mom and dad to see my effort. All I want is for them to recognize me, to love me like they used to. By the end, She couldn't hold back her sobs. Why does everyone keep saying this about me? Why do you all keep thinking this way? I've never wanted the money, never wanted to fight anyone. Just because I'm not your biological daughter, does that mean 20 years of love can just vanish? How can you be so cruel? Chapter 10. Watching her burst into tears again, my temples throbbed with pain. This wasn't the first time. Ever since she moved back, this little play repeated itself every few days. Diana always put on the same act, looking wronged, pitiful, too timid to lift her head. Most of the time, she locked herself in her room. At meals, she would sit alone, bowl in hand, peck at a few bites with her head down, then flee before anyone else joined the table. If urged to sit with us, she'd look up with a brittle smile, whispering, "It's fine, you all eat. I don't mind." When Mother invited her to go shopping, she would panic and wave her hands. I have enough clothes, really. I don't need any. Mom, you should go with Nicole instead. No one was excluding her. Yet she insisted on playing the tragic heroine. If father or mother scolded her lightly, tears would fall immediately. I didn't mean to, really. I just want a little bit of love again. Why can't you treat me the way you used to? Irritated, they would sigh and let her be. To me, Diana was irrelevant. I held more than half the company shares. I was the sole heir in the will, even Louise was behind me. What was one more mouth at the dinner table? She wasn't even qualified to be my opponent, but that pitiful face, that constant act of being wronged, was becoming insufferable, so I cut her off coldly. You keep saying you don't care about money, that you only want love. Fine. Then let me ask you, since finding out about your true identity, have you contacted your biological parents even once? Aren't you the one starved for affection? Why not ask them to give you that love? Or is it that love from wealthy foster parents counts, but love from poor biological parents doesn't? My words hit her like a slap. Her face flushed red, then drained white. Her lips opened, closed, opened again, until finally she stammered. No, it's not like that. I just forgot. Everything happened so suddenly. I was overwhelmed. I didn't think about it. Why does everyone assume the worst of me? I never. I cut off her self-pitying wail with disgust. Because that's exactly what your actions suggest. No one ever excluded you. No one pushed you away. It's you, wallowing, whining, acting like the tragic heroine of some soap opera. Every time you say asterisk, I didn't mean to, but funny how your accidents always benefit you. You did mean it. You don't want to let go of this family's wealth. You just don't want to admit it. You want to look pure and innocent. To have everything without a speck of dirt touching you. Diana, that trick may work once, but over and over again, it only disgusts people. The living room went silent. Father and Mother's expressions soured, but they didn't interrupt. Clearly, they had long seen through her act, only reluctant to strip away her last bit of dignity. Louise calmly peeled shrimp and placed it in my bowl, like none of this concerned him. But their silence was tacit agreement with every word I said. Diana stood frozen, pale as death, trembling so hard she could barely remain upright. She looked around desperately, as if searching for someone to defend her. But the silence of her family said it all. It shattered her completely. Her lips twisted into a despairing smile. So that's what you all think of me, huh? She wiped her tears, then stumbled out of the house. I watched her coldly. Perhaps she truly believed she was innocent, without malice. But actions born from the subconscious never lie. Diana wasn't the pure soul she imagined, she just refused to admit the truth. Still, for father and mother's sake, I softened my tone after she left. Dad, Mom, was I too harsh just now? Mother shook her head with a bitter smile. You only spoke the truth. We couldn't bear to. But, she needs to grow up, so we'll just let her leave. And never return? I asked. Surprised at Mother's clarity, she sighed. Keeping her here hurts everyone. We raised her well for over a decade, and we've never taken back what we gave her. She won't starve out there. We don't owe her anything. People need fate to stay together. Without it, why force it? Mother's expression was calm. Father and Louise nodded silently. A warmth spread through my chest. Then from now on, It's just the four of us, our family, together. Epilogue. In the end, Diana still had some dignity after leaving our house. She never came back. She still had the money our family had given her, so she wouldn't have to worry about her livelihood. As for me, I managed both career and family. At work, I devoted myself diligently. Off work, I accompanied father and mother. Although there was no bond of blood, they had treated me with true kindness. In return, I gave them my loyalty and devotion. When Sam found out I was the next heir to the group, he tried to come back to me, pestering for reconciliation every few days. But after I snatched several major contracts from his company, leaving him in complete disarray, he finally dared not appear before me again. Everything fell into place, prospering day by day. One night, half asleep, half awake, I seemed to see Nicole, the real Nicole, standing at my bedside. Bowing deeply, she thanked me for living the life she couldn't, for honoring our parents, for fulfilling her regrets. Are you going to reincarnate now? I asked, watching her figure gradually turn translucent, reaching out instinctively only to grasp emptiness. Yes, she smiled serenely. I no longer have regrets. I can reincarnate clean and free. I wish you peace and smooth sailing from now on. Looking at her pure and radiant smile, I reached out to embrace her, but caught only air. Nicole was gone. Yet to the empty room, I still offered my blessing. I wish you peace and smoothness in your next life too. May you never face hardship again. And remember, there's no need to fight for anyone's approval. You are yourself. You are never less than anyone else. Just be true to yourself, and never wallow in self-pity. That alone is enough.